image. The command you use to build your image is docker build -t my image, which is this over here. This my image, then the colon latest means that the my image is the name of your image, what you want to call your image. So if I call my image my app, I would say docker build -t my app, then you put that colon and latest. You can also, you don't have to use latest. You can also say my image version 1 or version 2, depending on the progress you have, as in how you're stepping up on that image. You can use latest. Latest means that it is the latest image, but you can also version your images, version 1, version 2, version 3, version 4, and all of that. Then the -t my image latest tags the image, the built image, as my image with the latest tag. So it tags the image as my image. So that is the name. My image is the name of the image. Then the dot, there's a dot at the end, specifies the build context directory as the current directory. Then we have docker stop. This command stops a running container. Docker stop my container. So let's say after starting your container with docker run, if you want to stop your container, you use docker stop, then your container name. Then the last slide, we have docker rm. This command removes one or more containers. So once you say docker rm, that is docker remove my container. That is, you can if your container name is my app or my image, you can say docker rm my image. Then we have docker rmi. This command removes one or more images. So you have to stop before you take out an image. If you just go and say docker rm, let's say my app, it will not work. It will tell you that a container is using that image. So you have to go and stop your container first using docker stop my container. Then you remove the container first before you come and remove the image. So that's just the workflow. So that's like the prerequisite for using Docker. Number one, you must have Docker installed on your system. You must have Docker installed. But if you cannot, if your system cannot take Docker, because Docker can be really tricky. Honestly, Docker gave me a lot of headache when I started off. But if your system, if your laptop cannot accommodate Docker, you can use there's something you can play with called Docker. Play with Docker. You can use play with Docker to just play around images. That's the prerequisite. Number one, you must have Docker installed. This is Docker installed on my system. This is Docker installed on my system, Docker desktop. Then you would also, I think that's basically, and you also have to have a Docker repository. You need to open a Docker repository. I think I have mine open here. Show you real quick. Yeah, I think this is my own Docker repository. This is the environment. Okay, so there are two ways you can actually build images, because this is just the theoretical part. I want us to get our hands a little dirty, so let us play around with Docker commands. So there are two ways you can build images with Docker. You can either build it locally, or you use a continuous integration process like GitHub Action, Travis CI, Circle CI. But GitHub Action is actually the easiest for me as a beginner, because with Circle CI, you have to subscribe and pay, and you guys know how expensive dollar is right now. So GitHub Actions is our guy. GitHub Actions is there for us. So you can build images locally, but building images locally, it consumes a lot of data. Like a few days ago, when I was prepping for this class, I tried to build images locally. Number one, it takes time. You may end up spending like 6 hours or even 5 hours thereabout trying to build a very small image. So building images locally can be time consuming, and it's your data would, like, just a very small image can actually take 2 gig of your data. So I do not advise building images locally. If you want to build an image, leverage on continuous integration processes. So for today's class, I would be taking you through a continuous integration process on how to build an image with GitHub Actions. So sorry guys, are you guys following? Am I too fast? Okay, thank you. Thank you. So let us, I've prepared, prior to this class, I prepared a very little project, very little project. Let me just, okay, let me open this on, I'm trying to open this on VS Code. Okay, so this is just a very minimalistic project. It doesn't do anything. It's just a very simple project. And let me just run it and you guys can see. So this is my server.js. This is my entry point, server.js. When I run, okay, let me go to cd into my app and node. Okay, so server is listening on port 8081. So let's just see that on localhost. So it's just a very simple, just says, hello, this is your simple Node.js server. So this particular little application will be Dockerizing it. We'll make it an image and push it to Docker Hub. So the first thing I did is to come over here, is to come and create a folder. I created a folder and named it .github. Let me just simulate it again. So not here. So I created a folder and named it .github /workflows. It's actually very paramount that you name it this, as you use this particular naming convention, .github /workflows. I think this slash should be the other way. /workflows. This you have to use this exact naming convention, .github /workflows. Okay, then after that, I created a CI folder, a ci.yaml folder, and inside that folder, this is where I added the command that will actually build me an image. This very little stuff you see here will build me an image. So how did I get this? If you're a guru to actually cram this stuff, then kudos to you. But for me, I love to make my life easy. So I just went to ChatGPT and I asked it to create me a CI. To create me write a GitHub workflow to build and push a Node.js project to Docker Hub. And ChatGPT was so gracious to have written me this file. So what I did was I copied it and pasted it over here. We should leverage on ChatGPT, makes life easy, no caps. So this is it right here. I pasted it here and I had to edit a little stuff. So I said this file should build and push to Docker Hub, then on push to the dev branch. This is what this particular line is saying. On push to dev. So whenever I make a push to GitHub on my dev branch, it should trigger a build process. That's just what it's saying. Then this is just pretty much static stuff for GitHub Actions. Okay. Then it should install npm install and all of that. It should build me the application. And the other place I had to come and change was over here. I have to come and change it to my own username and my own password. So over here, like, you can go ahead and put your username, like put it here on the file, but it's not advisable because it's a secret. And if you put your username and your password here, anybody can have access to them. So how the more secure way to do it is to just come here and say secret.dockerhub username and secret.dockerhub password. Then I went over to my GitHub. It's a process that you just have to be careful to understand. Then I went to my GitHub account. Okay, let me refresh this. Yeah, I went to my GitHub account and created a repository called Nexascale. Now, in the setting of our GitHub, a lot of you would know this part of GitHub. In the settings, we have the part where we can input our secrets and variables. So also over here, this is the secret and variables. I chose actions and a new repository secret. So this is where you come and you put the name. So over here, this is Docker Hub username, and you can see it's a replica to what we have here. Docker Hub username. Docker Hub username. And also we have here for the Docker Hub password, Docker Hub token, and this is it over here, Docker Hub token. So what this does is that once I push to GitHub, it comes here and gets the secret.Docker Hub username and gets the secret.Docker Hub token, and the whole thing just goes seamlessly. So after that, I want it to run docker build-t Claywoman/Nexascale version 1. If you recollect, this is the command to actually build your image. This is it right here. Sorry, this is it right here. So yeah, docker build-t Claywoman/Nexascale version 1 dot. Do not forget to add the dot. Then docker push. Then after you build the image, I want you to push it to Claywoman. Push it to my Docker Hub repository. So that is that. Then this is not all I have to do. This particular part is just the CI. This is the continuous integration part. Then I have to also come and create a Docker file. Now this Docker file is actually what actually builds my image for me. This is what builds my image, but this is the CI process of building the image. So do not confuse these two files. So in my Docker file, I said Node, and it's Buster is just a version of Node. I would show you later on the on the Docker Hub repository. Then from this base image, this Node it's Buster is just a base image. Make this mkdir is make directory, that is make a directory called app. Then this work dir means make this app my working directory. So after you make the directory here, I want you to come and make this app my working directory. Then after that, I want you to copy package.json. This package.json, this file over here, I want you to copy it and copy this my app. That is copy this my project. So like if you have a project now, let's say you have a backend project that you want to Dockerize, all you have to do is to put them inside a folder, come over here and say copy package.json, copy your project folder, my app, and put it inside the app you just created. That's what this line does. Copy package.json, copy my app, and put it inside the new app you just created, the new folder you just created. Then inside that folder, inside the app folder, run npm install. Then after running npm install, of course, if you're starting a Node project, the first thing you have to do is to run npm install. Then after that, expose port 8081 for me. That is after you've done your npm install, expose this particular port for me, just like it is working here. Expose it for me. And the command to start my image is node server.js. So you're telling Docker now that the command to start my image is node server.js. Then that's pretty much all. Then this is just Docker ignore. I want Docker to sorry, I want Git to ignore node modules and that. So now we are done with our file. The next thing I want to do is to have to push this now to Docker Hub. And how do I do that? If you remember, during the CI process, I said this image will build once there is a push to the dev branch. If I can change this dev branch to main, and what this will mean is that trigger a build process for me once there is a push to the main branch, but I want it to be the dev branch. So what I would do is to come over here and initialize Git, because because that's the first thing to do once you are working with anything Git or GitHub or GitHub Actions. So Git init, okay, initialize an empty Git, good. So Git add, I want you to add everything. Git add dot, then Git commit with a message. Let's say initial commit. Then Git branch. So this is where you can, if you look over here, you see that it's like the branch I am right now. I'm in the master branch. If I push this to GitHub now, nothing would happen. It will not trigger a build process because I said on push to the dev branch. So what I have to do here is I have to switch to the dev branch. So Git, I'm checking out the dev branch because right now I'm in master. So Git checkout to the dev branch. So when you look here now, you can see that it is now on the dev branch. I'm no longer on the master branch. So I would come here and add the new repository I created. Yeah, this is the new repository I created. So let me just copy this and say git remote. Sorry, git. Sorry, what's that command again? Fine. Yeah, git remote add origin. Git remote add origin. And the name of our GitHub repository. So it has added that now. So now I can now push successfully to GitHub by God's grace. So git push upstream, that's everything upstream to origin dev. Okay, so it said that's pushed it. So I will come back to my file now and to my GitHub and refresh. Okay. It's not triggering a build process, and I wonder why. I think I've done something. Let's see. I think I edited this file.
Can you check GitHub Actions? Let's see if it's probably there.
Okay. GitHub Actions.
Yes, Actions there. Side pull request.
Inside pull request.
No, on your ribbon.
Is it here? Is it here that I am right now?
No, at the top side where you have code issues,
Okay,
pull
okay,
request,
okay,
and
okay,
action
okay,
works.
okay. It's not here. Okay, I don't think the action is here. No, it did not push the GitHub, the CI, the workflows. It did not push the workflows. Let's see.
think you're in my app directory. That's
Yes, you
why.
are in my app directory. You have
Oh,
to
oh
change
my
back to the
God.
next
Oh,
one.
that's actually very, very correct. That's very, oh shit. That's very correct. Um, I'll have to go and Kingsley, is there a way I can revert my last commit?
You could just create another quick repo then change your remote if possible.
Right? I should create a quick repo, right?
Yeah.
Mm, but I'll have to add my secrets all over again. Okay.
Okay.
Let me just try to push again. Will it work?
Git folder has already been initialized in that my app directory. I don't know if to
Here.
push together with that one.
Okay, so what do I do now? I'm just trying to look for the best possible way to just quickly revert this change something. Okay, let me see if I can delete the
You can run git revert then the commit ID. See if you can get
okay
the commit ID um from
this
GitHub.
this ID.
Yeah. Then go back to VS Code and run git revert then with the ID.
I should go back to I should enter back into my app folder, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so git revert. Let's hope this works. So okay, let me see. Let me just
It
try
will
it
revert
again.
in your local repo here.
Okay, it will revert to my local repo, right? So I
Yeah.
can just
You can go ahead and I believe manually delete your GitHub, your .git folder. If
okay.
you can locate, yeah.
Yes, this is my .git folder. Okay, let me just delete it here. Okay.
Then you can now seal it back to the root and reinitialize here
Okay, so I can open back on.
on VS Code.
Mm, okay, so let's just do this work so because GitHub can be really, really crazy. Kingsley knows my struggles with GitHub. Okay, let me just go to a new terminal. Okay, that's opened up. So I would git init all over again. Git init, git add. Showing on track. Let's see. Okay, git commit a message that says initial. Just say initial. And okay, I'm in master branch, so I have to switch to the dev branch. Git checkout. Dev and git remote add origin. Okay, I think it should be okay. You know what? I'll just use the upward. I think I've done this commit before. Yeah, git remote add origin.
Your code and get it.
Okay, so let's push and git push upstream to origin dev. Wow, shit. This is what I just okay.
Try to pull, git pull.
Git pull Okay. Let me see what's happening.
Git pull origin dev so that it will bring the original
The
file there back
okay. Git
into your
pull
repo. Origin dev.
origin dev. Refusing to merge on related history. And this is not building.
You can create a new repo, just create a new repo. So
Okay,
check this up.
let me just create a new repo. So let me just, I think maybe I'll just start this from scratch, like how to use the CI process from scratch.
Okay. Someone gave a suggestion in the
Someone
group.
is making a
Git
suggestion.
pull origin
Okay,
dev.
okay. Let me go to the
Allow
messages.
unrelated histories.
Where is the mm, where do I see the comments? Sorry, the messages.
Your
Yeah,
bottom left.
I've seen that. Okay. Oh, thank you. Okay, this is dope. So I would have to push again. Right? Ebenezer, right?
You can delete this file there, server.js, in your root directory.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be in the my app, yeah? Or it's supposed to be.
Yes. It's supposed to be in my app.
Check my app if it's there.
It's not there.
Then just Control Z,
Yeah.
then copy, then paste it.
Okay. Paste. Okay, so I'll just have to repush. Let's hope this works. Git push.
Add and commit first.
Let me just run. Sorry, I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. GitHub is really tricky, honestly. It is.
I think it works.
Yeah, you can see it is trying to build right now, but the build is failing because we've not added and committed the new file. So let me just git add. Git commit with a message. So let's go back to the build process and see. Okay, this brown dot shows it's building, but if it builds successfully, you see a green good mark. If it doesn't build successfully, to show an X. So let's just wait. This is the moment of truth. We can actually see what is going on inside here. Okay, still not up yet. So let's just wait. So for now, let me just show you the other ways you can, as in the other with what I have on ground. Let us just run other commands that we've learned so far. So if I run Docker images right now on my local machine, I have several images that I've built already. Okay, I think our stuff has finished building, but I think it's saying the build. Okay, let's see. Yeah, it built successfully. So let us see our like what really happened inside the build process. Let's look at the details of what happened. They said all checks have passed. So this is what exactly happened inside our build process. It set up the job, check repository. This is everything that happened. So if there is a failure, you would see it will tell you here what exactly is the problem, and you can easily debug the problem from this particular part. So we can now go over to our Docker Hub and try to see if our image is there present. So this is my personal Docker Hub. This is my Docker Hub repository. So let me go back and see. Okay, so this is the image we just built, updated 2 minutes ago. This is the image we built, ClearWoman/Nexus scale. That's what we called our image over here. Over here, ClearWoman Nexus scale. So this is it over here on our Git Docker Hub repository. So if now I have it on Docker Hub, if I want to pull this image into my local machine, I can come and copy this pull command here. And paste it. And do not forget to add version 1, because we said as we built our image with a version 1. You can use latest, you can use version 2, version 6, any version you want, but we called our image version 1. So let's try to pull our image into our local machine. So while that is pulling, let me show you already. Let me show you. It's saying already exists. Okay, so now it's saying our image has been successfully downloaded to our local machine. So let us run Docker images, because that's what I said would show you the list of the images you have. When I say Docker images, we have it here, ClearWoman/Nexus scale version 1. This is the image ID. And if you remember, during when I was teaching with the slides, I said, as in this will show you the list of the images we have. So these are the images we have. We created this one 3 minutes ago, and the size is 972 megabytes. So if I try to run this image, I would say Docker run in detached mode, and the port is, we use the port 8081, if I'm not mistaken. Port 8081, yeah. Port 8081 to 8081. So this is this is port mapping. I'm just mapping the ports we have to what I wanted to display, like what I can use externally. So port 80, we're mapping port 8081 to port 8081. Docker run, yeah, this is it. I think that should be the command. Yeah, where is it? Docker run. Yes. Yeah, then my container name. So the container I want to run is this particular container. Let me run it with the image ID. So when I go over, you can see that it did not seize my terminal. If I did not add this D and I run this, it will totally seize my terminal. So let us go to localhost 8081 and see. Close this. So you can see this is your simple Node.js server. So our image is up and running. So you can also pull. So anybody that has Docker installed, like anybody on the call right now that has Docker installed, can run this particular command on his or her machine. Docker pull. First of all, you have to pull this image first. Once you run Docker pull playwoman/nexascale version 1, once you pull it to your local machine, you try to search if the image is there using Docker images. Then if you can see the image on your local machine, you can run the image. And once you go to localhost 8081, your image is there available for you. So is there any question? I think I'll be wrapping it up here. Yeah, then I think the last command, let's just do Docker PS. I think I taught you about Docker PS. Let's use Docker PS and see if our container is actually running. Yes, our container is actually running. You can see this, created about a minute ago, and the port is 8081. So we are all good. Please, is there any questions for me? I think our time is fast spent.
Yeah. Can I ask a question, please?
Yeah, please, sure.
Okay. Okay. I've seen how you built the container and how you built the image and push the image to Docker Hub. Am I permitted to share my screen to
please
check
by all
on
means,
my own machine?
Please. Yeah, by
So
all
let me
means, you're my boss.
let me take your fridge. No, I'm not your boss. Let me take your fridge from where you are to my side, and let me see if the fridge would also cook the same thing for me.
In as much as it is afang soup.
Yes. It's afang. Afang will find something to add.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. You can stop presenting. So I'll share my
Okay,
screen.
okay. Sure, I'll do just that. Sorry.
Okay. Where's this? Okay, Docker. Yeah. So if you can see my screen, I'm making use of Play with Docker. Yeah.
Okay.
I personally cannot install Docker on my system. Docker has a beef
Okay.
with Emily. Emily is the name of my laptop, so I really don't know why they're beefing. So I can't install Docker. So I've followed everything you've said. I've understood perfectly what you said. But for people like me who cannot install Docker on their system because of some system beef, like you suggested at the beginning, you said play with Docker, and that's exactly where I am currently. So we play with Docker. Docker Hub gives you a virtual machine space that has Docker installed, where you can come in and test your containers, build them, run them, and all that. Yeah. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get your image, because from what you said, you say your image is there. So I see your image here in Exascale. And if I click on it, I think it's supposed to show me the most recent version. If I go to tags. Okay, so we have version 1 here. Okay, so let me go back to Play with Docker and pull your image.
Okay.
So you said the command, well, where is the button? Not you, this one. Okay. So I'll do Docker. I'm quite stubborn, so I don't want to pull first. Let me just run it directly and put your container name. Let me see if it will drag your container at once without pulling.
Okay.
So Docker run -p for publish. Then I want port 8080 on my machine to go with. What port are you working with on your application?
8081.
Okay. So I want my machine on port 8000 to map with yours on port 8081. Then your container name is Playwoman Nexa, and we're working with version 1 of your container, right?
Yes, version 1.
Okay. So, okay, it's pulling the container.
Oh, yeah, to pull it. It will drag it, not even put to drag it.
Yeah, dragging. So we see here, it says unable to find image locally first. So when you put Docker run, it will first check if you have it locally. If it is not there locally, it will go and drag it from whatever repo it is. So that's the thing. If you run directly, it will first check, is it there? Fine. If it is not, then it will go straight to whatever repo you are and drag it out of there.
Yeah.
So let me wait for this guy to finish installing. Okay, so I have server is listening on port 8081. So here,
Wow. So
Play with Docker has given me a URL connecting to port 8000. So if I click to it, yeah, so this is your simple note. So yeah, everyone, let me share the link so everyone can click on it and also check on their systems. Copy. Oh, okay, where's it?
So guys, okay, Kingsley, are you done? I just want to add something.
Yes, I'm done. Yes, you can answer the questions too in the chat.
Okay. Okay. So before I get to the questions, when you're working with versions, like right now we're using Nexascale version 1. I don't know. Should I share my screen again? Okay. Share screen. Okay, so over here, can everyone see my screen?
Yeah, I can see your screen.
Yeah. Okay, so we are working with version 1 right now. This is Nexascale version 1. Let's say in this my application now, let's say it is really, really minimalistic. It just says, hello, this is your simple node server. Let's say I now make my application more robust. I added a lot of stuff to it. What I have to do, I would not just go and push again. What I have to do is I'll have to come back again and rebuild it. So I'll have to run this CI process again. And this version 1, I'll have to change it to version 2. To that. So if the end users want to pull my image, you will not pull version 1. You have to go and say Docker pull Clearwoman / Nexascale version 2. That's where you will get the most the most recent push that I've made to my system. Then lastly, I will also want to show on Docker Hub, I want to show the various image versions we have over here. Okay, let me just go to Docker Hub and let me search for Explore. Okay, let me go to Node. So this is like everybody's fridge. Everybody's freezer is over here. Everybody's freezer is over here. So let's say this is Node.js official Docker official image. So this is Docker pull, and there are recent tags. Look at the tag I use for my own project. It's Buster. This is it over here. On my Docker file. This is it over here. Node.itsbuster. That's the tag I used. So you can also use hydrogen. There are lots of tags you can use. These are the recent tags. And so this is just basically it. So I think Kingsley, is there any other thing you want to say before I see the questions on ground?
No, nothing else. You could proceed with the questions.
Okay. Someone said Git and Shege 5 and 6. Honestly, 5 and 6. Git is crazy. Kingsley knows my struggles. Okay. Please, what does the versions mean? Okay, I think I just explained it now. Right? Kosi Sochuku. Did I explain your question? Okay, so please scroll for previous questions too. Okay. Somebody's hands is raised. Juliet, please go ahead.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Actually, the whole thing is new to me. I'm kind of fascinated, and the truth is that I don't really understand it to an extent. So I just opened I don't know if I'm actually there. Docker play something. So I don't know if I should share my screen and maybe you just put me through on how to pull what you just pulled. I think that's really where I can actually have a bit of understanding on how to go about it after the meeting, then start learning from there. So I don't know if you will allow it because I don't really understand the environment I am currently right now. If I'm on the right
Okay.
platform.
I think Kingsley is the play with Docker master. So Kingsley, because my system like is good with Docker. So Kingsley is the play with Docker master. So Kingsley, please, is that fine? And the meeting host, because it will also help other people that want to play with Docker.
Okay. Are there any other questions before we now move to the
Okay.
hands-on play with Docker?
Friday. Okay. Sorry, can we get the slides? Yes. I will. You will get the slides. What other questions? Repeat your chat GPT prompt. Okay, my chat GPT prompt. Okay. I said to build, okay, sorry. I asked ChatGPT to write a GitHub workflow to build and push a Node.js project to Docker Hub. And that was it. This was what it gave to me. The only thing I edited from from what ChatGPT gave me is this main. You can see I use dev. If I had left it the way ChatGPT wants it, I will have to be pushing to main and not to dev. But I want to push to dev. Then what else? So I did not change any other thing. And then here I did not change. I just went over to my GitHub and added the secret Docker Hub username and Docker Hub token, which will be the username and password of your Docker Hub My username is Clear Woman, and I cannot tell you my password for security reasons. So okay, so that's just it. Then over here again, Docker build, you have to come here and change the name, as in put your Docker Hub username here and put your image name, whatever name you want to call your image name here. And also you have to change the tag. You can leave it as latest if you want, but I prefer versioning it. So you can change this latest to version 1. And whatever username and your image name, you have to come and replicate it and put it here again, Docker Hub, to push it. And also change the tag to whatever tag you added here. And do not forget to put the dot. Very, very important. So let's see if there's any other question. And the class is recorded. I don't know. The host, I don't know if it's recorded. Yes, it will be available. Probably I'll push to my GitHub and I'll make it available to the organizers. Okay, thank you guys. Like, you guys really helped me on that GitHub problem. Okay, so I think what the version mean? I've answered that. What if the versions doesn't exist? The versions have to exist. Like when I was new to Docker, this version, it gave me a very big problem because you can also use these images on Kubernetes. And if you're trying to reference an image on Kubernetes, I don't know if I'm going to debate. I think we're all developers, so be ready for the shege. So if you want to use this image on Kubernetes, you must reference the actual image name and the version. If you just come and put Clear Woman slash Nexus scale and do not put the tag, that's the version, your Kubernetes pod will never run. Just this, something as simple as versioning gave me Kubernetes problem for like 2 weeks. So always reference the whole image with the tags. Very, very important. Yeah, but if you don't specify the tag, it would use the latest tag by default, but always specify the tag to reduce the stress in your life. Okay, share the link for Play with Docker. Okay, I guess that's on that. Okay, yeah, I think this is all we have. Recap. I hope there's a recording, please. Benita, Daniel, I hope there's a recording. Yeah, Leila, please go ahead. Leila, are you there? Someone said, can you suggest any YouTube link where we can learn more, please? Yes, I would suggest go to YouTube and search for Tech with Nana. Tech with Nana is really good. Let me put it in the chat. I don't know the YouTube link, but Tech with Nana she's really good. She's really, really good. I suggest her. I would recommend her 120%.
Sorry, yeah, I'm here. I wanted to ask.
Yeah, go ahead, please. Leila, are you there?
Okay.
I can't hear you. Can anyone hear her?
So I wanted to ask, can we
Okay.
use the Play with Docker to build our own Docker file, or we can only pull?
You can use Play with Docker to build your
I'm
Docker
here.
image. And okay, sorry. I think there was a lag somewhere. You can use Play with Docker to do basically anything you want. It would even push to Docker Hub, and your image is there. It's just that because Docker realized that some, I don't know if it's operating system or something, doesn't, I really do not know why some laptops do not just welcome Docker. So if you're having that issue, you can easily use play with Docker. It does the same thing. Maybe Kingsley, I think all questions are answered. So please, can you put us through Play with Docker?
Okay. The person that says she has Docker, Play with Docker on her screen. I don't know if she's still here, so she will share her screen.
Yes, it's okay, yeah. I think what was it? Izine? Okay, no, not Izine. Who asked the question that wants to share her screen for Play with Docker? Are you still on the call?
I am.
Okay, Juliet. I'm so sorry. Please, can you share your screen now? So Kingsley will just.
Okay, maybe you should just stop sharing.
Okay, let me stop sharing.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, your screen is. Yeah, I can.
So this is where I am. I don't know what to do from here.
Kingsley,
This is Docker
over to
Hub.
you, yeah.
Go to your search bar and type Play with Docker.
Here?
Your address bar.
Here?
Yeah, type Play with Docker.
Hear this one.
Yes. So
Okay.
yeah, log in with your Docker account. Your Docker Hub account, really. Click on Start. So here you have the environment. You can create multiple instances, which are also virtual machines, by clicking on instance there. You have basically 4 hours to run whatever it is you want to do on your machine. So click on add new instance.
Okay.
So this opens a virtual machine instance for you. We call it a node. So you have one node. If you click on add new instance, you can add multiple instances. I don't know the maximum number, but I've only opened, I think, just 2 maximum. So in this environment, you already have Docker pre-installed, you have Git pre-installed. I've forgotten the name of this environment, but it's not Ubuntu. The shell it uses is that ahz, so I can't remember. So you can run all Docker commands here. Everything she did on her system, you can literally do the same thing here, right? For example, let's see the Docker version here. So do Docker space -- version.
I just use V.
Yeah, single dash V.
Single dash V. Enter. Okay.
So this is the Docker version it has there. Then C for have Docker compose. Docker space compose space version.
I guess.
Yeah.
What's the meaning of this Docker Compose? What does it do?
With Docker Compose, you build multiple containers. Instead of building one after the other, you can build multiple containers. You can run multiple containers with one file. You don't need to start running multiple commands. Okay, so let's test out what we just did. So we're going to run her container, right? Her image rather, the
Yes.
image she created. So
Okay, so I have
let's,
to do Docker pull first.
you can do Docker pull first to have it locally and then run from there, or you can run directly. Running directly would first pull it before you now proceed to run. So if you want to, let's say for some reason, change the tag, you can now pull first. Then if you want to change the tag of the image and all that, then run, fine. But since what we want to do is just run directly, you can skip the Docker pull. You can still do it if you want. So do Docker pull, then
Docker pull. Do I have to put the name of the image?
yes, you need to tell Docker what exactly you want to pull. So you start with the username. Yeah.
Is it a capital letter W or small?
No, all lowercase, just with woman there.
Flowman slash Nexa. Nexa what? Clever.
Let just
Next scale SC.
Nexa scale. Like this.
Yes.
Yeah. Try doing it without the
Okay.
version. Press enter.
Okay.
So you see,
Error
it tells
response.
you it cannot find because there's no version for latest. It's trying to look for the latest version since you didn't specify the tag. So it's looking for the
Okay.
latest, but since there's no latest version in her repo, to throw the error. So now do the same thing. Just press your up arrow button so it will give you the previous command, then add the version at the back of it.
B1. Like this.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now you can successfully cook your favorite afang soup.
So this Docker comes when they're actually done with the front end, the back end are done, and the testers are done testing. All right.
Yes.
Okay.
But when you want to upgrade, you have to change the tag and rebuild your image.
Okay. So what should I do next?
You
So
can
you,
now okay,
okay,
please,
yeah.
please go
Linda, I
ahead.
can continue from here. It's the same thing with the system.
Okay, yeah, you can now go ahead and check if the image is there. Say Docker images.
Docker images. Just like this.
Yes. So you see you have the image with the tag, image ID, when it was created and the size. So you can
Okay.
now run Docker run. You can write to run the container Docker run -d, that's to run on detached mode.
Dash D dash P, right?
Yes, yes.
Then
Then
the port 8081.
8081 to 8081.
80
You're mapping, yeah, to
column
8081.
81.
Then
What else?
copy that image ID. Copy the
Okay.
image ID.
I don't think I can copy from here.
Eh?
Okay, let me just type it.
Okay, just 6143 16.
16 CA 61D.
Now push
61
enter.
16 CA 60ID. Okay.
So you can go to your local host, right? Kingsley, you should see it on local host, right?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
If you run the image? Yeah, see
Yes, she
the
has.
no, you can't use localhost here because
Okay,
the
because it's
localhost
Okay.
here is
documented
for your
docker.
system. Yeah,
Okay,
just copy.
okay.
See that link they sent to you. That 8081 you have there. Click on it.
Yes. Hmm? I should
It's
click on
up
what?
there, up there.
Okay.
Beside open ports, you see 8081.
Yes.
So this environment automatically creates a URL for you based on the port you open.
Okay. Okay.
Click
Why?
click on the
Because
port.
it's. Why? I want to understand
It-
why. Is it because we are
it's not your
using play?
local machine. It's not a local
Okay.
machine. So it saves you the whole stress of putting the port number at the back. It's like having a load balancer that is forwarding traffic to a virtual machine on port 80. You get
Okay.
the load balancer has a listener. You can have a listener for it listens on port 80 and forwards all the requests to a container running port, maybe 5,000. So on the load balancer, you don't need to put port 5,000. You just put the URL of the load balancer. It itself would now forward the traffic from 80 that's listening to whatever port that your container is or your VM is. So that's what this guy is doing. So this is like the load balancer. It's receiving traffic on port 80, on port 8, on 80, yes, HTTP, and it's forwarding it to port 8081 of your container.
Okay.
If you want
So
to,
this.
if you want to check, you can still go back to the yeah. You see that your IP address, okay, no, it won't work like that.
Yes. This one. Okay.
See, you
So
can
that
copy
means
the IP address and use the port.
yes. And paste it where?
Paste it in your URL, in your address bar, then add the port at the back. Port 8081 and see if it works.
Like I should use column, yeah?
Yes.
8081.
No, I don't think it's going to work. So they just give you a
The
URL
playground.
that serves as a load
Playground.
balancer. So they're not giving you access to the VM itself.
Okay, now this particular image is not on my local machine, but it's going to be in my Docker account. Will it?
Which one?
This image, this Cleo woman image, is it going to
No,
be
it's only in this machine currently.
okay? What if this 4 hours elapses now? What's going to happen?
Everything clears now. They're only giving you a playground to work with. So anything you want to do, you do. When you're done, you when you're done, you whatever it is you're doing, it closes in 4 hours. It's not a permanent place. It's just for you to test out Docker stuff. If you need something where you want to run a container on continuously, then you have to have your own virtual machine where you run your containers on. That's where you have ECS, which we'll do tomorrow.
But I
Okay.
think she can actually push to her if she has a Docker account, she can push to the Docker hub, right?
Yeah, sure,
From
sure.
this
From here, you can
playground.
push to our Docker hub from here.
Yeah, you can push to your Docker hub. Then when you now have Docker on your system, you can pull it to your local machine.
So how do I push it? I would like to have it.
Do you have a Docker account?
I just created one when I was trying to. When I was at the wrong site, Sha, before I told you that I would like to share my screen. Not quite long.
You need to
Kingsley,
create a Docker. You need to create a Docker account.
Is it not the one I signed up on that other
Yes, there
interface?
you have already now. That's the one using login
Yeah,
in there.
do you
yes,
have
that's what I use in
Docker
login.
desktop?
Which one is Docker
Okay,
desktop?
okay. No, I don't think you need Docker desktop if you're
No,
using
you
if you're
don't
using
need
this
just log in
playground. You
here.
don't need that.
Do
You log
do
in here.
Docker login here and put in
Yeah.
your credentials.
Docker login. Didn't give us this command.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. It is just to log into your account. Just say Docker login. It will ask you for your
Okay.
username and your password. So put your username and your password.
Okay. What? What is it saying?
Say error. Showing an error. Incorrect username or password. Okay.
Oh
Maybe
shit.
she can just try logging in again. Someone raised their hand just now. Okay, yeah, Benita, go ahead.
Okay, I want to know, like, if we can push from Play Docker to our actual Docker account, can we also push from Play Docker to our GitHub account? Like, if we get like the code that you sent and then we run it in VS Code and then use it with this Play Docker, like, how do we connect this Play Docker? Do we need to connect this Play Docker to our to our GitHub
Okay,
and
I
VS
think
Code?
Kissy talked about a class tomorrow on EC2. EC2 would even be a better way. Like if you don't have Docker desktop running on your system, I think EC2 for what Kisley will teach tomorrow, it would mimic you having your local machine and you can do visually everything with it, right? Kisley, am I right?
Yeah, we'll use our ECS.
Yes. So sorry, ECS rather. Kisley, or
You're
can you
having
Okay.
issues
elaborate on
logging
her
in.
question?
Yes, I'm having issues.
Oh,
It says it's incorrect username or password.
No more
I don't know.
password.
Probably I'll try it later. It's just that Docker login that is the command, right?
Yes, just Docker login.
yeah, Docker login.
All right, let me stop
Sorry,
sharing.
what's okay?
What?
What was the second question that was asked again?
Okay.
That has the GitHub
Um,
repo.
I was want to ask that the
Okay.
question is, I kind of just want to know how we're going to connect like the code base when we get it and run it on our Visual Studio Code. How we're going to connect it to like Play Docker, and if we can also still connect this Play Docker to our GitHub repository that is going to use. Because you only talked about how to connect this Play Docker to your actual Docker account.
Play Docker is just a virtual environment where you can mimic what is happening in an actual virtual machine. If you're giving the code, right? Like let's say you clone her repo, you'd either use a CI/CD pipeline to build your image by using Docker build, then your tag, then the directory where the image is. Like that dot you have at the back represents the directory. Dot means your Docker file is in the root directory, right? When you have the code base, you build your image, you push it yourself to Docker Hub. You can do it in a CI/CD pipeline, or you can do it on your system, or you can do it here in Docker Hub, in Docker Playground rather. I can clone her repo here, and I'll have all her files on this virtual machine, and I can build my image here, and I can push it to my Docker account within this virtual machine you see on the screen, right? But if the image has been built already and you're only doing Docker pull, when you're pulling the Docker image, you're pulling it into an environment where it would run in a container. So you cannot get her code from the image she has created. Technically, you can by doing Docker exec and all that, but let's leave that aside. So when you do Docker pull, you're not getting her code, rather you are getting the image she has already built. You are getting the freezer or the fridge rather, that already contains everything that has been packaged. You understand? If you need her code, you will now get it from the repo. From the repo, you now build your image, right? But if it is the image you're getting, when you get the image, the only thing you can do with the image is to build or start a container where the image will run in. I don't know if it answers the question or if you still have another.
Okay, I kind of understand, but so I want to like if we are going to like build it locally without cloning it just to play Docker, we're going to need to have Docker installed on our system, right? Because cloning to play Docker means it's not available on your local machine, it's only available on play Docker. Then you can do like the clone and build and run and push to Docker on just this play Docker, but it's the code is not going to be on your system. I just want to know if I got that correctly.
Yeah, if you want to build the image on your machine, you're going to have Docker installed on your own machine. You understand? If you need the image on your machine. But I really don't see what you want to do stacking up images on your machine. That's why they have Docker Hub where you can have your image repo. But if it's for the code itself, you can do git clone and clone her repository in your local machine and have it there. You understand? Then anytime you want to build an image, you can now use GitHub Actions, or you can now come here to play with Docker. See, let me just see if I can use a quick example. For example, I want to build an image from her repo. I don't have Docker installed on my system. I don't want to clone the image she has already built. I want to build my own image based on her repository. Yes. To build an image, you do Docker build, then you tag it. What tag do I want to use? Kingsley, then Kingsley What's version 0. This is the tag. This is the normal command. Now that dot you have at the back tells Docker to look for the Docker file in the root directory. Now I cannot use dot here. Why? Because in this virtual machine, her GitHub repo is not here. I don't have her files here. So I'll now have to tell Docker, I want you to get those files from github.com/ Linda, what's your repo, please?
Clear Woman. No, Clear Woman. Oh, okay, it's in my GitHub repo.
Yeah.
Linda Ochim. OCHEM, yeah.
What's the name of the repo?
The image
Nexus
of the repo,
Scale,
okay. Yeah, Nexus
your
Scale.
GitHub repo.
Yeah, Nexus Scale.
So this is the URL to the repo that contains her code. I want to build this image using her code on this machine I have here. It is not my laptop. It is online, a virtual machine. So once I run this command now, it is telling Docker, build this image, tag it Kingsley version 0, get the files from this GitHub, her repo. Do you understand, Benito?
Yes, I understand.
Okay. So if I click on enter, it is going to build, it's now building her image. It's building my image rather with her code. So when it is done building this image will now be available locally on this machine. I can now decide to push this image to my own Docker Hub account. I no longer need to use the image she has built. I'm just using her code to build my own image. But if I want my own images in my laptop, if I want them stored in my laptop, then I can now use, I don't have to install Docker. But I would prefer, yeah. You see how fast it has built this image. If it's on your laptop, it will definitely not be this fast. So now I'm done building. Okay, yeah. Benito.
Okay, when she was writing out her code, she made some changes in like her Docker file and her server.js for like her secret Docker token and username. Is there a way we can access it here to make those changes to our own secret token, or we don't need to do that? We can just use her own as like a template to build out the image.
If you're using GitHub Actions, then you would require, that's where you require those credentials in that file. That file she has there is only for GitHub Actions. That file you have there would create a virtual machine just as we have now. It will build the same way we have built. But when we want to now push to our own repo, it would now have to ask us for login. That login credentials you're going to use, right, is what she has as the secrets in those files. So you cannot use her own, you can use the entire template if you want when you're working with your own GitHub Actions. But you have to go and create your own secret, which is your own Docker username and password, right? But if you're not using GitHub Actions, you're using a virtual machine like this. If I want to now do Docker push, what am I pushing to? This is my own repo name, then Kingsley version 0. First repository reduced. An image does not exist locally with the tag Kingsley. thought I did that here. KINGSLEY version 0. Okay, so let me try to run this image first. Okay, so I built a container. I'm running the container. So container is running fine. So let me go back to the previous page. So I've done everything that I need to do within GitHub Action, within Play with Docker. The only thing left is to push. What is keyboard? The only thing left is to push to Docker Hub. Are we still within the realm of your question, Benita, or have I not answered it? Do I need to throw more light?
Okay, let me clarify. So we only need to like access her code and edit it if we are running the code locally on Visual Studio Code with the actual Docker installed on our system. When we're using like Play Docker or any other virtual environment, we don't need to access the code and we can't access it, right?
What exactly are you referring to as the code? Is it the her Node.js application, her JavaScript, or that file that contains the commands for Docker to build and push? Which of them are you referring to as the code?
I think it's the server.javascript file where she had her secret tokens and stuff. He said if we are going to use it
No,
with
she did.
GitHub Action, we need to edit that to become like our own. So that's only when we're using the actual Docker.
I don't think she has. She does not have her. What is it called? She does not have her secret file within the code. Her secret file is in. Her secret file is in GitHub Workflows. That's where she has her secret files. The file that contains those secrets is in GitHub Workflow. And GitHub Workflow is only used when you are running GitHub Actions on GitHub. The rest of the code you can get and use anywhere, your local machine and anywhere. But that particular workflow file, this one here, this file is only used for GitHub Actions. This is the secret you're referring to, yes? This one here.
Yes.
You only use them when you're working in, when you're using GitHub Actions. And like I said, why you have them here is because before you can push to a repo, you have to log in, right? Before you push to a repo, you must log in. To log in, it's like what we have here. To log in on any virtual machine, you have to come and, why is this guy taking so much time? So I've logged in. This process of me logging in with my username and password is exactly what this part of the file is doing, where you have secrets, Docker Hub, and username token. But because this is a CI/CD pipeline where things happen without human intervention, it does not need to ask you for the files, for the password and username every time. So you simply save it within the secrets for this particular repo, so that anytime it is running, whenever it needs to put in username and password, it will get it from the secrets. So if you now clone this entire repo, yeah, to your own GitHub, you also need to go to your settings and create a secret for username and password and save your username and your password there. But this file can only be used if you are running GitHub Actions. That's why it's under GitHub Workflows. If you are creating something like this that automatically builds and pushes your image for Circle CI, for example, you do the same thing. You write Circle CI code that does the same Docker login and Docker push. The same thing if you're using code pipeline. But for the rest of the code that contains our application, you can always have them on your local machine and create your own Docker file if you want for them. But you don't have access to her secrets because her secrets, which is her actual username and password, is saved in her GitHub account under her own secrets. So when you clone the repo, you would now create your own secrets in your own GitHub account.
Okay. So we use GitHub Actions when we are cloning it to our local machine, and then we use Docker login when we are running it on a virtual environment.
Let me just add something, Benita. As in, I don't really expect everyone to get it at this first class, because this is like you're just being introduced to this for the first time. So it would all look like magic, some sort of magic. But I am there is a just go to YouTube and look for Tech with Nana. She has a way she broke it down, and with this knowledge you have right now, if you're going through her course, it will be like a walk in the park because you already understand the basic concept. Like the point there is to understand the workflow, to know that there is you have to create your CI/CD, your Docker file. So if you're learning on any other resource, it will just be easy peasy. You'll be grabbing it easily. Because if we keep on going round around here, it will still be a bit confusing. Docker is confusing. Honestly, Docker is really confusing. CI/CD is confusing. But get the basic knowledge, then build on it, and you'll be a master in no time.
Okay, thank you.
You are welcome, Benita.
All right, at this point, I'll stop presenting. Do I have any more questions for Linda?
I think we've answered basically all the questions. Or there's any other question?
No, there's no other one. Please, how can I access Play with Docker? I shared the link already. You could just search Play with Docker on Google, and it's usually the first thing that will pop up.
Yes.
Then
all right.
leverage
Are we
this
having
virtual
this same
machine.
lesson tomorrow?
Tomorrow we'll be working. Tomorrow we're having a class with Aaron for I think 30 minutes, like he said. Then tomorrow, hopefully, we'll be working with the AWS ECS. ECS 2 uses Docker. So in this lesson, we've seen how we can build an image from our code, create a Docker image, push it to Docker Hub. So tomorrow we'll be using these images we have built in AWS ECS for orchestration.
Okay. By what time?
It's posted on the group, 2 p.m. 2 p.m., 2 to 2:30 is for the class with Aaron. Then whenever it finishes, we'll start the it's actually the revision class for this week. This week is supposed to be ECS. I don't know if anyone here has actually gone through the material for this week. This week's curriculum is on AWS ECS. Those who are part of the AWS Expedition Challenge.
Okay, maybe it's because I just joined this laptop. I think
okay, all right.
It is back, yeah.
So, Linda, any last words for us?
Nothing basically. I'll just say what I always say whenever I come to present in a class like this. Please don't stop practicing. Don't stop practicing. Consistency pays off. It does pay off. Keep practicing. Thank you, guys. I have to go off now.
Sorry, Linda, please, can you help? You said something about learning from somebody like that. Can you paste that link or something?
Yes. On YouTube, like the resource that I always use, like I always go to her for reference. Use Tech with Nana. Tech with Nana is really good. She's really good. I recommend her.
Tech with Nana.
Tech with Nana.
Tech with Nana. Okay.
Yes. All right, guys. Thank you. I have another meeting.
All right. Thank you very much, Linda. We really appreciate your time. Thank you, everyone, for being patient up to this point. I'll share the link to Nana's page on the group. I'm trying to look for it here. history of tech with Nana. Let me just get a link to one of her videos and send across. Okay. Tech World with Nana. Oh yeah, someone has shared it already. Okay, all right. So that's it. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time. Do have a lovely weekend, TGIF.